It's Ned over my Philippine Dreams. And to the E to the D over at MPD, coming at you from Dumaguete City, Negros Oriental, the Philippines. Area code 6200 for those trying to get a hold of our fan club. Today is December 20th, 2017, and this is the weekly live stream. Hopefully it's going to work. The buffering doesn't look like it's working that well right now. I've been having some issues with the internet because of the storm that recently came through. So hopefully things will pick up and we can actually get this going. Let's see if we're online. It looks like we're online. And hopefully this will work. Alright, usually I put together a Microsoft Word document outlining the flow of the weekly live cast, but today it's basically just this. Yeah, a post-it. So I'll be reading off this and going over a couple of other things. So this is the weekly live cast where I try to cover some things that are going on in the Philippines, both with myself and in regards to how things could affect other foreigners living, working, studying, retiring, doing anything basically in the Philippines. And today we're going to be talking about an American behaving badly. We're going to be talking about some special operations footage out of Marawi and an interesting article that was done down there and a few things that are going on with me. All right, first up, we just had that storm come through and it caused a number of fatalities just to the north of us. Usually when the storms come through, they come in from the east and usually they hook to the north. They go up towards Samar Leyte in that area. This storm is actually tracking directly towards us. Fortunately for us, it headed north. It did its little swoop there, and it caused a number of fatalities and a number of property damage. Storms here are insane. The ground can only absorb so much water, so this was a slow-moving storm. It came through, and it was just dumping rainwater. Some areas got 40 inches of rain within 24 hours, which caused a great deal of flooding, a great deal of damage, and unfortunately, loss of life. I don't know. My content, I haven't been putting up much content recently because I've got some personal things going on, and I also got to concentrate on my work, the stuff that actually makes money. So my content's been a little thin, but yesterday I put up the being objectified and seeking safe spaces in the Philippines, just recounting to you, my viewers, my fellow dreamers, an experience that I had the other day in a hotel room with 3 lovely young 20-something-year-old Filipinas, which was quite amusing. Again, you'll hear me say it time and time again. Comedy is based on tragedy, and there's nothing more tragic than us. Our personal experiences, some of the things that happen to us, are quite amusing, and it's good to be able to share that, with an audience and get some feedback. And people seem to appreciate the humor in it. They saw the self-deprecating humor that I was injecting in there, so that was appreciated. Let's see if this thing's still working. It doesn't look like it is. Yeah, it's still not playing on your end, Terry says. Not working at all. Not playing. Shit. Yeah, so you're going to be experiencing buffering. I'm just going to give it a shot. I'm just going to try to go through this. My apologies to all those that are being affected by this shitty live stream. Swing and a miss. Alright, I'm going to try to restart it then. I'm going to restart. Stop streaming. Try this again, see if it works. It probably won't, but who knows. You never know what's going to happen. Alright, we're trying this once again. Good morning, everybody. This is Ned over at My Philippine Dreams. I'm not sure if this is actually working or not. It doesn't look like it is. Today is December 20th, 2017, the first day of the rest of our lives. I'm just resuming. I guess it looks like it's resuming. So I'm just going to keep going along, see if it works. I'm not sure. This is pathetic. It's going now. Okay, working better now. Thank you, gentlemen, for the feedback. All right, where last I left off, yes, I did the piece of meat video, being, seeking a safe space after being objectified in the Philippines. That one was a lot of fun. I actually saw those same women again last night under similar circumstances, and it was good to see them again. And I told them about their video, and they saw it, and they thought it was pretty funny. And like I said, the content's been pretty thin. I just haven't had a whole lot of time to devote to video. I got a lot of video in the can, in the box, stuff that I haven't put up yet. I got, all the in-depth stuff from Sicky Horror, all the travel stuff, and some recent things that I've been doing. And I just got to find the time to actually just sit down and do it. And hopefully I can at some point. Because I feel like I'm depriving you, my worthy subscribers and fellow dreamers, of the excellent quality content that I have on hand. Recently, actually just yesterday, because Christmas is coming up, my young Pasco, everybody, Pasco. Oh, also, this is my weekly live stream, and this is where I welcome you, I mabuhay you, into my akong balay, into my house. And so I was able to see Bud Brown. I was able to see Kuya Bud yesterday. And on Christmas Day, we're going to be doing a spaghetti fest because he's got the big Molly mobile. This is something actually me and Bud have been doing pretty much every year, I think. Because Christmas for me, I got no family here, so it's kind of lonely. So it's something that I like to do to stay busy and not think too much about missing my family on Christmas Day. So we're going to be getting together around noontime at the old McDonald's, and we're going to be giving out about 150 spaghetti meals out of the donation kitty that we already have. So that'll be cool. I don't know if I'll do a video on it, but I'm sure Bud will be doing a video on it. It was good to see him. It was also good to talk to him about some other things that have been going on. I'm down to 192 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal, and I'm feeling really good. Strength is starting to come back. I'm actually starting to eat again. My sleep has been able to return somewhat. I went through a little period of self-inflicted difficulty there, but I seem to have recovered somewhat. So I'm starting to gain some strength back. I'm starting to gain a little bit of weight back because I got down to 190 pounds at one point, which was a total loss of like 25 pounds. So that's good. Also recently had an opportunity to help somebody help themselves. Me and this other individual have been going on this little individual journey together for a while, sometimes together, sometimes apart, and it was just an opportunity that sometimes comes along, again, to help somebody help themselves and to help somebody regain something that they had lost. And so far, so good, and it feels good to be able to do something like that. Which comes to like my private life and my personal life. You guys know that I've been doing this for a long time. But I also try not to talk too much about my personal life and my private life, and there's a couple of reasons for that. The people that are involved, unfortunately, sometimes in my life, they need their privacy, and so that's why I never identify people by their real names. I never tell people where they live or where they work, just to protect them. And so there's a lot of things I can't actually talk about. There is a lot of, and unfortunately, it's a lot of really good material. Like if I could talk about the things that have been going on the past couple of months, it would make for a really good story. But, it's private, it's personal, and I got to protect the people that are involved in it. And also protect myself from too much ridicule. And that's just the way it is. Let's go to the comments real quick, and we'll get to the first news story. We've got two news stories that are fairly short. Sasha Spurk says, Ned, I skipped the gym for this, getting fat, eating pizza, and losing muscle because of you. Cheers from Southwest Florida. Good morning, one and all, in the comments section. As soon as Ned says it's going good, it stops. Yeah. And I'm gone again? Shit. Is this thing working? Can anybody give me any feedback? Oh, my God. All right, thank you, PLDT. This is actually, I'm sure this has something to do with the storm that's coming through. It affected Luzon, and that's where a lot of the trunks are for the internet. Okay, it's working well. Thank you, Raymond. So that's good. All right, yeah, I probably should have rescheduled this and tried it again tomorrow morning, but I just wanted to get through it. All right, first off, the first bit of news is, and you guys might have heard this guy's name before or encountered him or seen him in YouTube videos. There's an American that's being deported for begging and causing trouble up in Manila, and this is around Ermita. An American who has become notorious for begging and causing trouble on the streets of Manila is set to be deported. Victor Didenko, and somebody mentioned his name in the last live stream, aged 47, has also overstayed his tourist visa and failed to renew his expired U.S. passport. Speaking today, Immigration Commissioner confirmed that Didenko has been picked up on Friday near the corner of blah 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 streets by the Bureau's Fugitive Search Unit. He is now being held at the Bureau of Immigration Detention Center and will be deported for being undesirable, overstaying, and undocumented alien. In a statement issued to the press, immigration said, aside from being a notorious troublemaker, he will be deported for holding an expired U.S. passport and overstaying. He added that Didenko had become a burden to society and been the perennial subject of complaints by citizens who saw him frequently roam the streets of Manila and Pasay, begging for money from strangers and engaging in acts that disturb the peace. He continued, "We cannot allow unruly foreigners like him, who have no means of support, to stay in our country any longer, lest he becomes primarily dependent on the governments for subsistence," which is something that they call public charge. And then Didenko posted on Facebook some garbled message that I'm not going to get into. So yeah, he got. I guess there was an incident recently where he got drunk or something and was like verbally accosting people in the street and threatening to beat people up. You can actually see a video of him in action down in the video description box. It's a guy, I think it's I Ride Manila at Night. He's a YouTuber, and he's got a video of him. And for some reason, in the video description box of that video, it says something like he needs Peter Vandiver help or something. I don't know what that reference has to do with. But this is one of the reasons why when you're leaving a lot of countries and going to the Philippines and other nations around the world, the airlines, which is basically the Philippine government, will ask for an onward ticket to make sure that you're actually going to leave and you're not going to lose all your money to some, scam or and also keep in mind that this guy might have mental health issues, and I'm not saying that as an excuse for him, but everything has to be taken into context. But this is one of the things that happens sometimes. It's not that common that this actually happens. Actually, I know somebody from that was a former forum owner who got caught up in the same type of incident, but he was basically just overstaying. They detained him for a little while. He paid the money, and they all squared it out. So that's Victor Didenko. He's being held, and the situation is, I guess he had gone to the U.S. Embassy before, and they had offered him a ticket to the United States for only $400 that he would have to pay once he returned to the United States. And he didn't take him up on the offer, so I guess now the U.S. Embassy is like, hey, Philippines government, sorry, man, but we tried with him, so now it's up to you. So I don't know what his situation is going to be or how long he's going to be held in that miserable little detention center, but it could be quite a while, because I think they're also doing some charges. Yeah, the charges of disturbing the peace. And hopefully it'll all end well for him. Like I said, there might be some mental health issues going on there, and being detained in a Philippine prison, being locked up abroad, I wouldn't wish that on too many people. And that's just the way it is. The hobo is not dead, Anthony B. He is alive and well. Did you say Victor? Yeah, Victor Didenko, Raymond. The guy's name is Victor Didenko. Lionel Edez says, it is a constant headache. Is it a constant headache keeping up with visa renewals to stay there long term? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, I should say. Sorry, I just woke up from a nap after this brownout. Renewing visas here is cheap. It's inexpensive. It comes to like $1 a day. They just decrease the price. And you just go in, you fill out the paperwork, you give them some money, and you're done. And that's just on a regular tourist visa. It's very easy to do. The Dumaguete office here has always been very professional. I overstayed once. I was an illegal overstayer, alien. And I overstayed by 2 days, and they actually cut me slack. I wasn't expecting them to cut me slack, but they actually did. So they gave me a pass on having to pay the fees. Bruce Bogan says, good for him, get rid of the riffraff, not a good representation of their country. I hear you. And that's just the way it is. But man, I'll tell you, man, I've seen some, and I've said this before, and I know people get upset about this, but foreigners in the Philippines aren't exactly the cream of the crop. The guys that have the wherewithal or the type of character or lack of character to last long term in a foreign country like this, and I'm including myself, it's not exactly the best and the brightest. So you see some really strange stuff kicking off. Actually, I was out talking to somebody in a resto bar last night, and he had just come back from Thailand. And before he left, there was all kinds of drama in that area. And after he came back, the drama got even worse. And yeah, we're strange people, man. It's like the island of unwanted toys. That's what us as foreigners in the Philippines are sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, I know. PV will now call me an overstayer. That's cool. I can't wait till he comments on my being objectified in safe spaces in the Philippines. Aish. Aish. Reading. Right now I am reading, and I posted this on my Facebook. I am rereading, this is about for the 6th time. It's a book by John Irving. He's still alive. He's like 75 years old now. And in my humble opinion, he is one of the finest authors, American authors of the 20th century. And I don't know if anybody's ever read any John Irving. He did Cider House Rules, Setting Free the Bears, The World According to Garp. He did all that. But I just want to read the opening sentence of A Prayer for Owen Meany. And this is one of the books that definitely changed my life and helped craft me to be the dysfunctional person that I am today. Let me just read this opening sentence, because this is good. I am doomed to remember a boy with a wrecked voice, not because of his voice or because he was the smallest person I ever knew, or even because he was the instrument of my mother's death, but because he is the reason I believe in God. I am a Christian because of Owen Meany. All right, now, I identify with the Christian faith, but I'm not like super Christian. I never talk about that stuff. I don't go to church. So don't be thinking that it's like, oh, Ned's he's a God freak or whatever. But this is about faith. It's about hope. It's about deliverance. It's about sacrifice, and it's a lot about like the New Testament Christian ideology, which is actually pretty good. I like the New Testament. I like the Old Testament. I like the hippie Jesus, not when God's killing everybody. So, if you haven't read the book, I highly recommend it. Also, the link to the free book that I recommend every week, The Great White Tribe in Filipino, is down in the video description box as well. Yeah, Rick Nader says, drops constantly, then jumps ahead. You're watching it live, and I am on PLDT, and they're experiencing the storm, so you guys are getting a lot of buffering. Apologies for that. Aloha, Ned. That must have been, I thought that was Scott Parnell. Someone needs to kick his ass. Oh, try to be nice. Try to be nice. Love, kindness. All right. Kindness. No, love, kindness, and charity. Was that what the man in black said? What was his name? I forgot his name. All right, and like I mentioned before, on Christmas Day, me and Bud Brown are getting together. We're also going to get Jun, Nikki, Nano, and some other folks together to actually pass out the food, because I don't like to be involved in the actual distribution, the whole Great White Savior thing. So we actually grabbed the kids and the family from the house the world built, and they love doing that stuff, and they're going to be passing that out, so that's going to be great. I was sitting at a resto bar the other day, and this might have happened to you. Sometimes kids, school kids, college kids will come up and they'll want to interview you, and because they want to interview foreigners for some reason, and it's usually about what do you think of whatever city that you're in right now. What's the good things about it? What's the bad things about it? And it was funny because it's Christmas season and all the beggars are out and everybody's asking for money. So these kids were going around and they were dressed like nicely. They looked like college kids, and they weren't in uniform, but they had their little ID tags. So they go up to one table and the foreigners would be like, "No, go away, go away, go away." And they went to the next table, same thing. They came up to me and I'm like, "Yeah, sure, interview is great, blah blah blah." They did photos and everything. I charged them 40 pesos. It was 40 pesos for the photo and 80 pesos for the autograph. So we did that. They were actually IT students. I don't know why they were doing interviews on what people thought about doing Gete, but sometimes the school system here puts them out on strange requirements. It's the crab situation in the Philippines. It could be. It could be. I am not sure. All right, let's get on to the last little bit of news that I got. This was an interesting article. Again, you can see the link. There's a link to this down the video. The Battle of Marawi, Philippines Special Operations Command video. And I forgot where I got this from, but whoever wrote this, I think they might have been a Filipino. So if you go to the link, it'll show you, the video gives a little background on how the Islamic State was able to grab a foothold in Mindanao. The Philippines has had its share of problems with Muslim insurgency since the 1970s, but only recently have these insurgents been the focal point of well-funded international jihadist groups. Then it goes on to talk about Malaysia and Indonesia, also infected with radical Islamists, has rebel groups, etc., etc., etc. They talk about how the thing down in Mindanao recently, Marawi, came around, and it's basically the Maute clan, which is a huge clan down there. A lot of them have been killed. A lot of them are being apprehended. And there's going to be retaliation going back and forth, I'm sure, on this for decades. Because once these clans and these families, they all start getting into rivalries, and you got retaliation killings. And one interesting thing is in the video they show the footage of the city of Marawi, and the city is completely devastated. It looks like something that was carpet bombed during the Second World War. I don't know how they're going to rebuild it or how much it's going to cost, but the Philippine Armed Forces must have, howitzered the hell out of this place. All right, then it gets to an interesting, and this is the paragraph that I want to talk about, because I'm pretty sure a Filipino wrote this article. So it says, over the course of the past several decades, Filipino troops received constant advanced training from U.S. Green Berets. Unlike the U.S. allies, in parentheses, in other parts of the world, Filipino troops can actually be taught and make excellent soldiers. Their leadership, planning, and execution of tactics is on par with the best militaries in the world. Then it goes on, for months the armed forces of the Philippines bravely fought street to street, house to house, and room to room in intense close-quarter battles. They improvised RPG armor out of wood on their vehicles and called in airstrikes when necessary, and eventually dislodged the Islamists from the prepared fighting positions, killing nearly 1,000 insurgents at a cost of 165 of their own killed. But that one paragraph, their leadership, planning, and execution of tactics is on par with the best militaries in the world. Okay, so that's an example of that Pinoy pride that we sometimes talk about, because I'm pretty sure this was written by a Filipino. Also, though, never discount the fighting ability of the Filipinos, especially those guys down in that area. They are badass. You had the Moro, and the reason we had the 45 caliber, was it Colt 1911? The model 1911. It was developed in 1911 because they were using a 38 caliber. The U.S. troops were using a 38 caliber pistol prior to then, and then they realized that when they shot the Moro, those little Filipino guys, that they weren't going down and they weren't staying down. So they actually developed the Colt 45, the 1911, to deal with the Filipinos. And what's ironic is a lot of the guards and a lot of the security forces and a lot of the police personnel that you see around here are carrying around that same sidearm. Oh, the irony. And like I said earlier, oh, the tales I could tell. But again, there's, personal and private stuff. So, and there's more interesting stuff going on right now. I have no idea what is going on in certain aspects of my life. I'm trying to figure it out. We'll see what happens. As they say in the Philippines, bahala na. It's in God's hands. It's in whatever's hands. Finally, we're going to get to some... I've been talking over the past couple live streams. We usually ended off with some Filipino cultural psychology stuff. We talked about amor proprio, which is love of self. It's your face. It's doing the right things to maintain positive standings both with yourself and with the people around you. We have hiya, which is shame. I think I talked about that last week. And the shame is something that you try to avoid. That's why you try to maintain your amor proprio and do the right thing. And sometimes people will try to avoid that shame by not admitting responsibility, not being accountable for the things that they do, sometimes lying, just bold, outright lies. I mentioned last week that sometimes two Filipinos will be in a conversation and one person will know that the other person is lying, and there's some term that they use. It has something to do with knife fights and avoiding a slash or something, to pass. and they'll just let it go to maintain pakikisama, which is that smooth interpersonal relations. So this week, real quick, what I'm going to talk about, and I've talked about this before too, is utang na loob. Utang na loob. Utang is debt. Loob is like obligation, owing somebody. So basically, it's a debt of obligation. And basically, what it is when somebody does something right by you, you owe them. Okay? Like for example, when I had my motorcycle stolen a couple 3 years ago, and the office, and they're actually able to recover it. They're actually able to find it. Still to this day, about once a month, sometimes I'll buy him a coffee. Sometimes I'll just swing by the office and say, "Thank you, sir, for getting our motorcycle back," because I owe him, because he did right by me. Unfortunately, utang na loob, a lot of Filipinos have written about this, because I'm not an expert on this. I'm going by what other people say. Is also responsible for a lot of the corruption that you might experience. Politicians, government officials, whatever it might be, doing favors for each other and covering each other's butts, and it just keeps going back and forth, that reciprocity between all those involved. But utang na loob is actually something that's really cool, because like we did right by Junjun and Nikki and Nano and all of them. So every time I see them, no matter what the situation might be, we always get a big smile, we get a big wave, and I get invited to come over and see them. And finally, after quite a while, because, I've been caught up in my own stuff, I was finally able to get back up there and see them. This afternoon, hopefully, I'll be going out with a friend, if she's awake, because she tends to stay out partying till 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning. And we'll be reshooting the Mavic footage that I took back at Red Rocks Waterfall, Pulang Bato, and up in Tierra Alta. Because what happened last time, we went out, we got some good footage, but unfortunately I didn't wipe off the lens on the Mavic, so it was all blurry and gross. Raymond says, dead of heart or inside the body. Yeah, I mean, that could be Puso. Puso is heart. That could be it, yeah. Nepotism is the political utang na loob. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it also. Thank you. That's a good way of putting it. I like that. 1911 is the iconic 45 caliber. Yeah, sakit. Somebody mentioned sakit earlier. Sakit in Bisaya is pain. Like you got sakit sa ulo, which is pain in the head or headache. Sakit sa puso, pain in the heart, that type of thing. Debt of gratitude. Yeah, so actually those 4 things are, like, in my opinion, the 4 columns of Filipino cultural psychology. The amor proprio, the hiya, the utang na loob, and the pakikisama, the smooth interpersonal relations. There's ways that you're supposed to or expected to interact with people so as not to violate other people's amor proprio, or sometimes with lying, not to violate your own amor proprio. But with the lying thing, they'll do it to maintain their amor proprio, but at the same time, they got to know that they're violating their amor proprio, so that's got to cause some conflict. Also, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this, but sometimes Filipinos have a hard time saying they're sorry. And this is something that I've noticed and something that I've experienced. So when they do say they're sorry about something, and they do take that responsibility and open themselves up for accountability and everything, that actually means something. That's real. I mean, myself, when I screw up or I do something stupid, I got no problem apologizing. I'm apologizing all the time for all the stupid shit that I'm doing. But Filipinos in general, from what I've experienced, and again, people don't get upset at me if you're Filipino, no balat sibuyas, no onion skin, sometimes they have a hard time saying they're sorry. So when they do say they're sorry, that means something. When a Filipino says they're sorry to me for whatever reason, my antenna go up and it's like, well, okay, this is something big. This actually means something. Looks like Aleppo. Yeah, talking about Marawi. And I'm working on my Bisaya, like I said. As a matter of fact, tonight I'm meeting up with my tutor to go over some things that's been going, some of the phrases. And I mean, it's one thing getting the words down, but being able to link it all into phrases, that's where I'm having the difficulty. And but it's something you have to do. I mean, if we're gonna stay, I've been here 4 years. I've been here 4 years, and I got no excuse for not knowing the language at this point. You know, gotta know it, man. And there's actually a buddy of mine down at the resto bar that I'll probably be at tonight, and he's fluent. He's been here for like 26 years or something. So he's completely fluent in Bisaya, and his level of interaction, like Bud Brown, his level of interaction with the people around him, the Filipino community and the neighbors or whoever he's interacting with, is totally different than my interaction. You know, so it means something. Scott Parnell says, sorry is like him or her. No such thing. What Scott's referring to is probably Sha, S-H-A, which could mean him or her, he or she. They don't have like any individual descriptors for sex or gender. So sometimes that's why you'll hear like somebody will refer to me as, oh, she's over there. And they're talking about me, but again, it's that Sha thing because they lack the individual descriptor. Rod Talton, Dumaguete Expat, says, my Filipino wife never says she's sorry because she's never wrong. Absolutely. I hear you. I hear you. And somebody left a comment, too, saying that women always believe what they're saying at that moment, even when they change their minds about it 30 minutes later. So yeah, here in Dumaguete, for me, things are going good. I have no real complaints. It was just really nice to be able to help somebody help themselves recently and regain something that they had lost, and it was something that was really, really important to them. Like I said, I can't get into the details, but I hope that good karma comes around somehow to, you know, buoy my spirits or buoy my situation. Apologies again for the crappy connection. It's just a reality of living in the Philippines. Apologies for starting about 45 minutes late. We had a brownout that lasted about an hour and a half. So I went and laid down, I took a nap, and I turned the fan on, and when the fan kicked on, it woke me up. So then I started this up. I hope everybody is well. I hope everybody has an excellent Christmas. This is the happiest season of the year. I really enjoy Christmas. Although, like I said, it's hard being away from, you know, your friends in the U.S., my friends in the U.S., and it's hard being away from family. But the good thing is they're only a phone call away. And if anybody needs an excellent way, yeah, PLDT wants me to upgrade again. Nice one, Catabatic. Nice one. And the easiest way for me to call to the United States for free is through Google Voice. I use the Google Hangouts app. The call quality is phenomenal. There's no delay. It works really well. And people can actually call you. You won't be able to receive the call, but they can leave a voicemail, and then Google emails you a transcript, a written transcript of that conversation, and the transcript is actually usually pretty accurate. I love Google Voice. I mean, people have tried different things. They got Line 2. Some people use Skype for the U.S., but the best results I've gotten, Viber, that stuff, the best results I've gotten have been through Google Voice. Raymond says, yep, Messenger, FaceTime, all that stuff works, but I've tried all those, but the best quality I've gotten so far is just simply the Google Voice, the Google Hangouts, the Voice app, you know, not doing a FaceTime video, just calling, and it works really well. And yeah, I've been getting more active through Messenger. At one point, I only had, because I don't have a real Facebook account, I have like a fake Facebook account, and I was actually seeing somebody at one point, and she was the only person that I had on Messenger. So whenever I got a ting, you know, that ting notification, I knew it was her. And then things didn't work out, and I was feeling sad because I wasn't hearing that ting anymore. And then I started, you know, hanging out with some other people and talking to some other people and doing some dating. and now I got a bunch of them on Messenger, so I'm getting all the tings all the time. So it feels good to get tinged. I don't know if anybody's been in that situation, but it feels good. Lek Buzzy says he used Google Voice many times while in Thailand, and it always worked great. Absolutely, I like it. WeChat is an awesome app. Jerry Terry, he's talking about the Chinese app. I could never get that set up on my phone. I don't know if it was operator headspace or I need to use a different phone. That's what they said, to put my SIM card in somebody else's phone and try to set it up there. But it seemed to be too much work. Pete Chamberlain says, I find Magic Jack works well. Yeah, I still have a Magic Jack somewhere around here. I'm not sure where it is. Feliz Navidad, Sir Liner. Thank you, Sir Liner. Feliz Navidad. Maayong Pasko Pod, Kuya. I don't know if you're my Kuya or not. Actually, I don't know if Sir Liner's the guy that he lives like out in the province and he's got like a farm or something. And I was listening to one of somebody's shows, one of Dave's shows or something. And that was really cool. Catabatic, message retracted. What did you say, Catabactic? Sasha Sherperk says, can get overwhelming when they have your contact info. Yeah. The Giuseppe 90 asks, what do you think of living in Dumaguete versus the provinces around the city? Personally, for me, I couldn't live out in the provinces. I need pretty solid internet. I like to be able to get into the city pretty quick, to go to a restaurant, to hang out, just to go for a walk on the boulevard, eat an ice cream, do that type of thing. But there are a number of foreigners that live, deep out in the provinces. When me and Dana went to Siquijor, we were way in the back, way out in the back provincial areas of Siquijor, out in the middle of nowhere. And I ran into this guy. I thought he was Filipino at first. Come to find out he's Hawaiian. And he was staring at me, and he came right up to me. And he has a farm out there. And he's been out there for like 7 years. Again, he's another guy who speaks the language fluently. But you could also tell that he was starved to talk to somebody, another foreigner. And because he didn't hesitate. He just like, he saw me, he made a beeline right towards me. And so yeah, I mean, it's something people have to experiment with. You got to find out what's comfortable, what you want. There's definitely pros and cons to both. It's quieter usually out there. It's cooler usually away from the cities because you're not near all that concrete and steel. But I like the internet. But they also say about the provincial areas that shit just doesn't work. That's one thing that they say, with the electricity, the internet, infrastructure, and all that. Russian names. All right, so America, I usually try to keep up with the news on my Flipboard. I got a Samsung tablet, and that's what I usually use to keep up with what's going on in the U.S., but I haven't as of late. I hope everything is going well. Hey, Martin, how are you? Yeah, nothing as lonely as being the only English speaker when you live in the province, Martin Agnew says, and that's true. But on the flip side, a lot of guys that do go out, they have to learn. And I think, again, like I said, if you're going to live here long term, you gotta learn the language. You gotta know what people are saying. And actually, there's a lot of there's college students, there's young like American, English, Australian college students in Dumaguete. And they go to Silliman University, and they all know, some of them fluently, Bisaya, because they got those young minds, and they can learn how to do this stuff a lot easier than our old brains can. B. Price says, hello, Philippines. We're watching you, Kuya, from Modesto, California. Babs and Donnie, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well. Jerry Terry says, Trump is still president. All is well here. Well put, sir. Well played. Well played. Also, I appreciate the people that could appreciate the fact that I constantly refer to myself as a liberal, progressive socialist. And the people that get the joke and all that. Like, why are you a socialist? That's horrible. Romulan1112 says, a biggest fear of moving to the Philippines is leaving my tools behind. A man without his tools is a naked man. They sell all those tools here, man. All the same, basically the same name brands that you can get overseas, you can basically get here. And also, you got to keep in mind the electrical stuff. A lot of times, the tools from the U.S. and stuff, they won't be able to operate on 220. Yeah, Catabatic brings up a good point. As a liberal progressive socialist, do you get your news from Russia Today? He's referring to RT. Catabatic, did you hear that RT is shutting down operations in the United States? They didn't say why. I can only assume it has to do with, hey, we accomplished our mission. We go back to Russia now. Storm. There's also supposed to be some more storms coming in. All right, again, everybody, thank you for watching. I apologize for the poor quality of this stream. I apologize for not having it documented better. I was basically operating off this because, again, I usually prepare for the live stream about an hour before I do it. And because of the brownout, I wasn't able to do it. So I take no responsibility. I'm not going to apologize, and I'm not going to be accountable for the shit quality of this live stream, which, by the way, never gets monetized, so I don't make any money from doing these. Martin Agnew says, just get battery-powered tools and buy 240, 220-volt chargers. I guess that's something you could do. I'm not a tooly guy. I'm not good with my hands like that. I can't make shit. Davao Don says, and we'll go out on this, hello, ladies and germs and snowflakes. I am a special snowflake. There is no one else like me. I am unique. In the universe, there is only me. 4.5 billion years of evolution have created what you see before you. And I guess this is as good as it gets. Again, everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I'll try to see you next week on the live stream. Until then, keep dreaming, make the best of it, show that love, show that kindness, show that charity. It is the holiday season, and it's the best time for it, and hopefully that karma will come around and lift us all up. Take care, everyone, and see you next week. See you in the new year. Maybe it'll be the new year. I'm not sure. I gotta check the schedule. Peace.